Hey builders, before we start today's show, I want to talk to you about something I'm so excited about because on Monday, August 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be unveiling the brand new Buildership model. Now, this is something I've been working on for 6 months, a year now. It's been brewing even longer than that. And I'm going to be actually unveiling it. I'm going to be showing it for the first time and walking you through it and showing you how you can use this Buildership framework to achieve your goals faster and easier than ever before. This has been a long time coming. I have been trying not to talk about it, but I've been so excited about it because this is going to be a game changer. If you want to join us, all you need to do is go to buildershipuniversity.com and there'll be a pop-up there where you can sign up so that you can join me as I unveil the Buildership 2.0 framework live. And what's really cool about it is you'll be one of the first people to experience this framework. And this is what we're going to be teaching from now on. This is what we're teaching in Buildership University, and it's happening live. So just go to buildershipuniversity.com and sign up and join me live on Monday, August 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be unveiling for the first time in the world the new Buildership 2.0 framework. All right, now on to the show. You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 271. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here's where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robyn Jackson, and today we are doing this is the penultimate episode of the Summer Success Secrets series. Say that 3 times fast. This one is about how to get everyone's support from the start. Now, I'll do the final episode next week, and then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming and doing the podcast as we normally do as we get ready for the school year. But this success secret is really important because this is the question that I get asked the most is how do I get everybody to buy into my vision? Now, I understand the sentiment. That's the language we've been taught, but it's one of our builders said to me recently, if they buy in, they'll sell out. So builders don't want buy-in. We want something more than buy-in, bigger than buy-in. So today I thought I'd talk to you about what secret builders use to really get that buy-in. Now, we have the summer boot camp going on right now, the Buildership Summer Boot Camp, and this one is all about staff alignment. And I taught something on day 1 of the boot camp that, people are still writing me and texting me about that just blew my mind. It blew my mind when I thought about it too. And it gets at the heart of what builders do and why builders are able to get buy-in and make so much movement forward. So I'm going to share with you just a taste of what I taught on Monday night. If you want to see the full, kind of array of how it works, see all the work we did to help us apply what I'm going to talk to you today, immediately to our own staffs and to get some more workshop experience with it, then all you need to do is go to buildershipuniversity.com/bootcamp. Sign up for the bootcamp, and that'll get you all the information you need to access the replays. Now, the replays will be up until next week, and then they come down and go into the Buildership University vault. So those of you in BU, you'll have access to the replays. But if you're not in BU and you still want to see what we've been doing during the bootcamp, camp this week and watch the replays, at least day one, because that's where that's where we went through what I'm about to share with you today, then just go to buildershipuniversity.com/bootcamp, sign up for the bootcamp, and that'll get you access to information about the replays. That'll get you into our private Facebook group so that you can get the link to the replays, and then the replays come down after the weekend. So you have to move fast. All right. So today let's talk about it. How do you get your staff to be on board, to support your vision, to work towards your vision, to embrace your vision? And how do you do it from day one? So let's start out with this concept of buy-in and why buy-in is not enough, because buy-in feels like an exchange. I see something I want, I buy it. But how many of us have bought things and then regretted it and wanted our money back? How many of us have bought things and never used it? So that metaphor of I want buy-in, it starts to fall apart. It assumes that just because somebody buys something, it's something they really want, it's something that they desire, it's something they're going to use, and that's not always the case. So builders don't want buy-in. What builders want is ownership. And ownership is different than buy-in. Buy-in means I invest a little bit of myself and hope to get something out of it. Ownership means it belongs to me. Now, we've all been taught shared vision, and you've heard me talk about why that's a myth, and the vision belongs to you, the principal, the builder. If you are the principal, the vision belongs to you and you alone. You don't need anybody else's input to your vision. And certainly you want to listen and pay attention, but you don't need people to give you their approval for your vision. But after you've created your vision, the next question is, how do you get other people to see your vision, to support it, to feel like that vision belongs to them as well? Now, those of you in BU, you know that our secret weapon for doing that is the vision story. And unfortunately, I don't have time during the podcast to teach you the vision story in a way that would really make it useful to you, which is why it's something that we do in Buildership University, because, it's not just teaching the framework, it's creating that vision story, it's thinking it through, it's practicing the vision story before we get in front of our staff to make sure we get it right. So we can't do that on the podcast. But there are some other things that you can do to build that true ownership, and to get people moving on your vision, and to get people to start embracing it as if it were their vision, even if they didn't come up with it. And that's what I want to share with you on today's podcast. So let's dive in. So the first big thing that I revealed on Monday was we looked at the theory of diffusion of innovation. If you've ever watched Simon Sinek, he has a whole thing about it. If you read Start With Why, he talks about it. And basically, it's this idea that human beings really distribute along that bell curve. In most organizations and most populations, the distribution more or less mimics the bell curve. And there are several different types of people in your organization right now when it comes to any kind of change or new idea. So the first group of people are the innovators. They are the ones who are often coming up with a change, or if they see a change is coming, they play with that change and make it even better. And that represents about 2.5% of your population. And then the next group are the early adopters. As Simon Sinek puts it, these are the people who, the moment the new iPhone is out, they're in line, even though they could wait 10 days and buy it and not have to stand in line, they want it right away. These are the people who are always on the cutting edge, represents about 13.5% of your population. The combined two are about 16% of your population in your school. So as a fun exercise right now, take the number of teachers on your staff and figure out what 16% of that number is. And that's the number of people that you have that are either innovators or they are early adopters. Now, the next group of people is about 34% here, give or take. Those are your early adopters. Another 34% are your late adopters. And then another 16%, the last 16% are your laggards. Okay. And I'm telling you this for an important reason. Okay. So when you think about your vision and people who are hearing your vision, there are some people who hear your vision and they're off. They're thinking about all the ways that they can take that vision and make it their own. They own it right away. Those are your those are your innovators. Your early adopters will hear the vision and be like, okay, cool. And they will start working on it right away. And then you have your early majority and your late majority. Now, your early majority, they're the first large group of people who say, okay, let's really work towards your vision, represents about 34% of your population, but they really won't move until they've seen what it looks like. They've seen other people doing it, which is why it's really important to have your innovators and early adopters. And then you have your late majority. They hear your vision. They're not going to move until they see proof that you're going to stick with it, proof that it's going to work, proof that it is something valuable. They may give intellectual assent to it, but they're really not going to move until they see that proof. And then your laggards won't move until the whole organization has changed, the rules of the organization, the culture has changed, and then they will move. Okay. So we know this. This is a way, although it happens with all innovation, but we ignore it when it comes to getting people to support our vision. You see, we think that once we have our 100% vision and we share it with our staff, they will see it the way we see it, and they will be like, "Oh, thank God, you've shared, you've opened my eyes. I now have seen inside the matrix. Thank you," and they just immediately embrace your vision. But the reality is, it doesn't work like that. In fact, it moves a little bit more slowly. And even if everybody gets inspired by that first speech you make about your vision, your work isn't done. All you've done is introduce the idea. You've gotten them excited, but you haven't done the work it's going to take to get people to adopt it, to own it, to act on it, for it to become embedded in your culture. And so because of that, we get upset when we share a vision and then 2 weeks later, everybody starts raising questions about the vision or they start, going back to the way they were before, or they initially applauded your vision, but then they come later on, they're like, I have doubts. And that throws us off. And then we say, see, these people don't care. If you cared about kids, then why wouldn't you embrace 100%? And we're not taking into account that people are human and human beings have, different ways of adapting to change. And we're not taking that into consideration when we share a vision. We just expect that if we share it in the right way, get the right formula. That's why everybody's always asking me, like, okay, so what's the formula for the vision story? As if it's a magic bullet. Now, it's a powerful tool, but it's not a magic bullet. You share the vision story and it'll get you that initial excitement. It opens the door to the conversation, but then the work happens. And the problem is we were never trained on what that work looks like. We were trained to announce something and then push and chase and coddle and cajole and try to get people to do the work. And we spend all of our time running around chasing, checking, and correcting people and get frustrated when everybody doesn't get on board, when that's not the right way to get people on board in the first place. So here's the right way. Now, one of the things about the theory of diffusion of innovation. That's the name of the model. So I didn't invent this. But one of the things that struck me about it is that if you can get about 16 to 18% of your staff on board, that's when an idea begins to take off. They call it the tipping point. Up until that point, your idea, if you have 1 or 2 people and it's not 16 to 18% of the population, then the idea is going to struggle. The change, your vision is going to struggle. But once you get 16 to 18% of your population to say yes and start moving on your vision, that's enough to give your vision the momentum it needs to be able to take hold in your staff. Now think about that. Remember earlier when I said, just take the number of people on your staff and figure out what 16% of that is. For some of you, it's 5 people. For some of you, it's 20 people, but it's a small group of people. And it's not just any 5 or any 20 people. It's the right 5 or 20 people, because that 16% represents your innovators and your early adopters. So when you first introduce your vision to your staff, after you've done your vision story, the work now is with your innovators and early adopters, not with everybody else. In fact, you can safely ignore everybody else and just concentrate on your innovators and early adopters. Now, some of you, your heart just flipped. That's blasphemy, because that is so not how we were trained. We were trained to take a blunt force instrument and force our vision down the throats of everybody. If everybody doesn't accept our vision right away, then we failed. That's leadership. Buildership says we have to build. And where you build are with the innovators and early adopters the first 16% of your organization. Because if you can get them moving and implementing your vision and moving forward with your vision, that makes your chances of getting the rest of your staff moving forward significantly higher than if you just try to get everybody at the same time. You're wasting a lot of time and energy talking to the wrong people about your vision after you've shared your initial vision story, and that's why you're so frustrated. So the innovators and the early adopters, these are the people who are going to take that vision and run with it. And you'll know who they are. Like, you might think you know, but then share your vision story with your staff and then see who really starts saying, oh, we could do this, we could do that. And they immediately start coming up with ideas about how that vision would look in your school. Those are your innovators. And your early adopters are like, well, tell me more. How do we get started? I'm ready. Let's go. I've been thinking about my class and here's where I'm falling short and where do we need to go? Those are your innovators and early adopters. The people who are raising questions, the people who are saying, really great speech, I was really inspired. Those are not your innovators and early adopters. Doesn't mean you just completely ignore them, but that's not where your energy is. Your energy is on the innovators and early adopters. And what you're doing with them is you are helping them start to make your vision come alive in their classrooms. Your innovators, you're giving them chance to play with it. It's only going to be 2.5% of your population, so it's just a few people. Let them play with your vision. Let them see what's all possible. Just give them free rein and let them go, okay? Now, the people who are your early adopters, they're going to need a little bit more support. So you're going to pour into them and set them up to be successful. There's a very important reason why you want to do that, because your early majority, 34% of your population, a third of your population, they are ready to go, but they don't have an example. They don't know how it's going to work. If you get your early adopters to start working towards your vision, they become the example. They show how it can work in your school with your kids. And that's what's going to convince the early adopters to come aboard. So if you skip this and try to convince everybody at once, there are no exemplars. Everybody's figuring out at the same time. And the people who would do it get discouraged or get distracted very quickly because they need to see it. They need to see the example. They need to see how it's going to work before they're willing to try it and give it their all. So if you want success and moving your vision forward, the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out who your 16% is, who are your innovators and early adopters, and pour into them. Now, while you're pouring into them, you're still sharing your vision story over and over again. You're sharing it in large groups, in small groups. People are asking questions. You're answering those questions. People are raising concerns. Give them time to do that. That's fine. Builders, those of you who are in BU, we call this the explore stage. So that's happening. But during the explore stage, while they're doing that, you are nurturing, pouring all your energy, time, resources into setting those innovators and early adopters up for success. Okay. Then once you do that, then you can move to your early majority. But now you have examples. Now the innovators have played with it and worked out the kinks, because a lot of times when you're starting something new, you start it and you run into kinks. It happens every time. But and that can be discouraging to people who are your early adopters and certainly your late adopters. They start saying, well, I mean, look, it's not working. We hit a glitch, without recognizing that every change has glitches. But when your innovators are playing with it, they figure out and find the glitches. They work out the glitches before the whole population has to experience those glitches. Your early adopters, they figure out what's working, what doesn't work. You thought it was going to work one way. They show you it really works a different way. So they work all that out. So now you can look at your early majority. So here is where you're going to roll it out to the rest of your staff. And your staff will start to separate themselves out. So there's going to be an early majority. You're going to train them. You're going to give them examples. They're going to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they're going to get started. But your late majority is still going to have questions. So that's how you tell who's early majority, who's late majority. Early majority, if you set them up for success the right way, they get started. Your late majority is going to have questions. They're going to struggle a little bit. And what they need is not just exemplars. They need proof it works. But the beautiful part is because you invested in your innovators and your early adopters, you now have proof. You have examples of what it looks like, but you have proof that it works. And so you can start to show them the proof in their own practice, show them how it works with kids in your school, show them the difference it's going to make. And as they start seeing that proof, they begin to come aboard. So your tactics shift, right? Because what we do is when we roll something out, we're saying, oh, I'm giving you all the tools, I'm giving you strategies. Why aren't you doing it? And then we run around, with our checklist and say, are you doing it? Are you doing it with fidelity? I can't get people to do it with fidelity. And they're not doing it. And then we are trying to push people and force people to do it or to get them to buy in, when in reality, we haven't given them the tools that they need for where they are in the process to be able to do it. When you're a builder, you're not chasing, checking, correcting. Yeah, I mean, sure, you may look to see how things are happening and give people support, but you have to give people the support they need. I think that's the big difference between being a leader and a builder. Leaders kind of do things with everything is, there's a one size fits all thing for leadership. You have one of my favorite expressions is, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, leadership is a hammer and everything looks like a nail. And so we think we got to hold people accountable. We got to chase, check, and correct people. We got to, we have to inspect what we expect. That's leadership language. Builders are like, no, because people are at different stages. And I'm always playing the long game as a builder. Hey, it's Robyn here. Real quick, I just want to interrupt this episode for just a second, because if you are enjoying what you're hearing, then would you mind sharing this episode with somebody else? So all you need to do is just go to your phone, if you're listening to it on your phone or your podcast player, and then click the three dots next to this episode, and it'll give you the option to share the episode. Now, if you do that, three things are going to happen. First, the person that you shared with is going to think you're a hero, especially if they're struggling with what we're talking about right now. They're going to love you. Secondly, you're going to feel good because you're going to get the word out about buildership and start building this buildership nation. And third, you will get my eternal gratitude, because I really want to get this out to the world, and you'd be helping me out. You'd be doing me a huge favor. So please share this episode with someone right now who's dealing with this same issue, someone you think would really benefit. And now back to the show. So I'm building my staff's capacity. I'm building their ownership. I'm setting them up for success. So I recognize where people are, and I give them what they need for the stage of where they are in the rollout of this thing. And that's what sets them up for success. I don't ever expect everybody to get on board right away. I think that if we talk about staff alignment, and we're doing that this week in the staff alignment bootcamp, we're talking about staff alignment, but we're talking about it real talk, not this fake leadership thing that they sell us where, if you just find the right words and the phrasing, you can announce something and you can get everybody on board. And those people who don't get on board, those people you get rid of. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And builders understand that. So what we've been doing this week in the boot camp is that we have been sitting down and looking at what really will work. What's the stuff that really works? And we've been listening to other builders who are sharing and saying, yeah, this is what works and this is what doesn't work, so that you're not wasting time on the stuff that doesn't work. So this is what works, right? It's not announce and then everybody immediately adopts. It's that you have to grow people into the new role. You have to grow people into the new vision in a way that when they don't just give intellectual assent, they don't just buy in, they embrace it, they own it. It becomes theirs. It becomes a part of your culture and a part of the way you do things in your school. It becomes embedded in the very identity of your school and the identity of your staff members. And if you're going to do that, it takes different work. Okay, so you've got your innovators, you've got your early adopters, they're working away. Your innovators are playing with it. And I like my innovators to try to break it. I say, find the holes. They love that, right? So these are teachers who are often bored in the workshops. They think differently. They may not all be master teachers, by the way, but these are people who love to play with ideas, and they like to innovate on stuff and do things that are kind of out of the norm. I want you to break it. I want to give it to my vision to them and say, what are all the holes? What won't work? What in our building is fighting against our vision? I want them to play with it that way. I want them to think about all the ways it can manifest and all the things we could do and all the areas I haven't thought of. That's what I want my innovators doing it. The early adopters, I want to say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. And I'm going to give them a lot of support. I'm meeting with them on a regular basis. They're doing the work and they're loving it because it's the new thing. And they're seeing early successes, and I'm collecting those success stories, and I'm paying attention to how it works. And where the glitches happen, I'm letting them experience the glitches because it won't dampen their enthusiasm. And then we can fix the glitches before we roll it out. Then we roll it out, and then I watch. There's some people who are going to embrace it right away. Those are the people I'm supporting. And the people who aren't embracing it right away, I'm still talking to them about it, and I'm still showing them proof that it works, but I'm not stressed out that they haven't embraced it all right away. Like we set an arbitrary deadline. We're rolling this out, and by the end of the month, I need everybody doing it. Why the end of the month? Why is that the date, right? So it's just an arbitrary date. It doesn't mean anything. I want to roll it out in a way. If it's something I'm going to roll out and spend the time and energy in, it's not something that is short-lived. It's something that is going to now be a part of our culture. So why wouldn't I invest the time and energy it takes to make sure that it sticks, right? So I'm not worried about the people who are dragging their feet yet. I'm pouring my energy into the people who are ready. I'm doing that because what they're doing is they're proving it works. What they're doing is they are riding the waves of change early because because their enthusiasm won't be dampened by the natural way things change. Whereas those late majority and those laggards, they will get thrown off. They'll say, see, this is why it doesn't work. They're looking for proof that it works or doesn't work. If you get them in too early, they will find a lot of proof about it doesn't work before they've had a chance to develop the proof that it does work. So you don't want them playing with it early. You want them to wait until they're ready, until it's kind of solid, and then you can start to bring them on. Okay. So I don't know who those people are. I throw it out there, and then I start watching it and seeing. And it's crazy how people kind of fall into those lines. A lot of people, they get these numbers and are like, oh, let me run the numbers. Okay, 34% of my staff, that's going to be 18 teachers. Oh, I know who those 18 teachers are. And they start making a list of the teachers. You don't know. You don't know until you roll it out. And so I don't care about predicting who those teachers are going to be. I just watch. And when those teachers reveal themselves, I'm ready for them. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. You're a late majority. You're in the late majority. Okay. So I'm going to work on you for proof. I'm going to leave you alone for now. I'm going to work with these people over here, and I'm going to develop the proof and help you see the proof. And I'm still having conversations with them. And I might even still be, saying, hey, listen, we gotta get moving on this. But I'm not running around with a checklist yet. I'm not running around, writing people up because they're not doing it. Because it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Okay. Now, those of you in BU, you're looking about the 6 E's of execution. So, this is where you start coming into the engage stage. This is what this is what you're doing during the engage stage. Okay. So you've done that, and now you're laggards. Your late majority and your laggards, they're going to be the last ones to join, and your laggards are really going to drag their feet, right? You know that. And it's about 16% of the population. So you know what that number is. There's a certain group of people who are just going to not move. They may not be actively resisting it, but they're passive aggressive about it. They don't believe you. They don't believe that you're going to stick with it. They may not believe in your vision yet and think that it's the wrong vision. They might be actively fighting you and resisting you. In most cases, though, they're probably just dragging their feet. They're probably just not getting moving. They're probably just, this too will pass. And, quite frankly, they're right to think that way because in the past that has been the case. But with your late majority, you're giving them proof, and now it's time to get them on board. So builders, this is the expect stage. This is where you start setting expectations. So You've given people time to play with it. You've developed proof. You've been talking to the late majority. And now it's time to say, all right, we expect everybody to move now. And as they begin to move, this is when you start pouring your support and attention into them, setting them up for success, giving them some wins very quickly in the process, helping them see not only did it work for those other teachers, but it will work for them. That's where my energy is. Now, still haven't talked to the laggards yet because I don't know who they are, right? Somebody who looks like a laggard, I might give them the right proof. They start moving. I know the laggards because everybody else is moving and about 16% of your population hasn't done a thing yet. And with the laggards, this is where you are going to shift tactics because at this point, it's not about convincing anybody else. It's about changing the culture. So this, for those builders who are listening, the people in Buildership University, this is the evaluate stage. This is where you start not only expecting this work, but you start putting things in place. This is where you start doing your walkthroughs. This is where you start looking and seeing what's happening. This is where you start having conversations with folks and look and talking to them about it's time to get moving. It's where we've all moved on and you haven't moved yet. And I've given you opportunity. I've set you up for success. It's time to get moving. This is where you can start to really start to hold people accountable. Or we don't say that. We say help people be accountable. When I say hold people accountable, a lot of times people think, oh, this is where I get to write them up. No, this is where you start putting processes and procedures in place and you say, you burn the ships. This is where you say, we can't go back. Okay. So here's what I mean. Like you are moving towards your vision, but there's still a lot of opportunities for people to continue to do what they've always done, right? Because people are learning and it's new. And so people kind of go with what's comfortable and what feels safe. And for a lot of this process, there's been the opportunity to do that. But now this is the way we do things. This is the new culture. And so builders, for you, this is where you build a new accountability architecture, a system architecture, and you put it in your school. And now everybody's expected to follow this. And all other alternatives are no longer available. That's what helps bring your laggards on. Sometimes you got to burn the ships. And so when you do that, they can't go back. And the rest of the culture is moving forward and it pulls them along. Now, some of you are listening to this and saying, I don't have time for all of that. And my question is, why not? Like, if you really want something to be embedded in your culture so that it's just the way we do things as our school, if you don't invest the time up front to really set people up to be successful, then what happens is you push something through, but you don't have true buy-in. That thing you're looking for, that feeling that everybody would do it even if you weren't pushing, that's what you think buy-in is. You don't have it. What builders do is we build something and deal with people where they are in the process to set them up so that when it's all said and done, they're doing it because they want to, not because you made them, not because you forced them, not because you held it over their heads. And that way, they're doing it because they want to, because it's now their vision, because they see it, because this is how we do things at our school. Then you don't have to run around chasing, checking, and correcting. Then it's not all on you. Everybody takes ownership in the process. Isn't that what you want? See, to me, that's true staff alignment, not because you push something through and everybody's doing it because they have no choice, but because you worked with people where they were, wherever they were in the process, until the point where they saw it for themselves, and to the point where they owned it for themselves, and to the point where it stopped being your vision and just became who we are as a school. That's the difference between being a leader and being a builder. And so, again, if you want to see what that looks like or get some examples of what that looks like, and if you're listening to this in real time, there's still a few days left to catch the replay for day 1 of the Staff Alignment Bootcamp. And I work it through in a workbook, give examples. It's a really good session. And you just need to go to buildershipuniversity.com/bootcamp, and you can still sign up for the bootcamp and catch those replays through the weekend. If you don't have time or don't want to look at the replays, here's what I hope you take away from this. The process of getting people to support your vision is not a one-size-fits-all linear process. You can't just announce your vision and expect people to immediately embrace it. And even if you share the vision story, you'll get people inspired. That's the excite stage, builders and BU. That's what we call the excite stage. But it is not the full process. If you really want to make something, if you really want to make your vision embedded in your culture, you need to respect the way that innovation happens in populations and work with people wherever they are so that no matter where they are, they will embrace your vision, they'll own your vision, and they'll act on your vision because you shared your vision and then built people's capacity to step into your vision like a builder. I'll talk to you next time. Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today. Hey, it's Robyn here, and I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. Now, if you have a question about today's episode, or you just want to keep the conversation going, did you know that we had a School Leadership Reimagined Facebook group? All you need to do is go to Facebook, join the School Leadership Reimagined Facebook group. Now, there are going to be a couple of questions that we ask at the beginning because we want to protect this group and make sure that we don't have any trolls come in and that it really is for people who are principals, assistant principals, district administrators. So make sure you answer those questions or you won't get in. But then we can keep the conversation going. Plus, we do a lot of great bonus content. I'm in there every single weekday. So if you have a question or comment about the episode, let's continue the conversation. Join us at the School Leadership Reimagined Facebook group. And I'll talk to you next time.